Before we begin, no flash photography during the press conference, but photos may be taken from your seats once the press conference begins. Only the 6 accredited photo agencies are allowed to take photos during the press conference, but we will make the photos available from this press conference on the media site within 24 hours. We do have volunteers with microphones who will be there here for your questions, so when you ask a question, please remember to identify yourself and your media outlet. Please make sure your cell phones are turned off, and please be aware that the press conference is streamed live at tiff.net. It's now my pleasure to introduce our moderator, Eric Kohanek, and the director of the film Caught in the Web. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Eric Kohanek. I'm the moderator for today's press conference for Caught in the Web. With us today, we have Chen Kaige, who is the writer and director of the film. The film, by the way, is a TIFF special presentation. It will have its TIFF premiere tomorrow night at 6 o'clock inside the Visa screening room at the Elgin Theater. If you have any questions, please stick up your hands. We have some people around with microphones. They'll give you a mic so that we can all hear your question. Feel free to stick up your hand as soon as you have a question. I'll start things off. Mr. Chen, of course, Mr. Chen's films are numerous, perhaps the most famous being Farewell My Concubine, which not only got an Oscar nomination, but also a Palme d'Or award, a first for Chinese language film, I understand. Over the years, well, let's first talk about Caught in the Web. Tell us where the idea came from for you, because you also wrote the script, did you not?
Well, I think it's a long story. In fact, that I have some foreign friends, ask me a question like, why in China, we could only see the costume dramas being made, and now the China has already become the second biggest economy in the world. But why, we don't see, this process, how the change, impact people's life, through the film you're making. I think this is a very interesting question. It's true that, although we have a market, the market growing bigger and bigger in China, but still that we don't really see much about the change, taking place in China. So that's why I want to do this film. I think, this film bringing some very interesting new image of China, and also the new message, from very complicated situation there in China. I think it's an honor, to do the film like this, because, the film is well received, by a Chinese audience. And they all feel like, this is the film they can relate to, and they're familiar with those characters who live in this film. And I think that I made my point in the film.
All right, we have a question back here.
Hi, this is Linda from Fairchild TV. I will ask the question in English first. Can you answer in both English and Mandarin, please, for the Chinese audience? I think a lot of audience, when they watch your films, they will also see themselves inside the films. Is it kind of try to inspire to audience, to people, that be careful what you are, posting on YouTube or Twitter, because this might be a violence on the other side and try to harm people and ruin people's life. And this cycle can be really snowball, rather than just start with a simple motive of finding out the truth. But sometimes people cannot handle the truth. Thank you.
Well, I feel like, this film combined different things like love and betrayal, cyberbullying, and also the very acute observation of the society. So probably we all know the story, the government officials who is in charge of the transportation security. The picture of them is being taken by other people and put on website. And when there is a bus crash, that he was smiling. So then people just attack him on the website and say that you are doing wrong things and how dare you, smile when there's tragedy taking place. But my question is that where we can draw in the line between the public rights and the privacy. And also I think the story repeat and repeat again, in the daily life, like for example, a young man sitting in a very busy crowd bus, and he's asked to give up the seat to a lady, which he didn't do. Then all of a sudden the lady's husband, just slapping his face and say, hey, stand up. And this man stand up, and later on website, the people got information that he's a disabled person, that he was not able to stand there for a long time. So that's why I feel like, the people, seems like, they're familiar with this kind of things. So I feel like, you gotta be very careful when you giving your own views regarding certain things on website, otherwise the internet can kill.
And do you have an answer in Mandarin for the?
All right. 我觉得在这个肯定的说，这个互联网是影响和改变了这个时代，改变了我们的生活。互联网呢有正面的价值，它对于推动社会进步肯定是有意义的。但是另外一方面，这个互联网也可能造成对其他人的伤害，如果我们不谨慎的话。所以这是我们遇到的一个新的问题，就是公众知情权和个人隐私之间在哪里划线？我觉得这个问题不是一个中国独有的问题，而是全球性的问题。所以我自己觉得非常高兴，能够在一部中文电影中间提出一个全球性的问题，就是我们怎么去尊重别人的隐私，同时也使自己得到保护。我觉得这个电影说到底不是关于技术，不是关于机器，是关于人的生活，关于人的human nature 这些问题。谢谢。
Okay, we have another question in the back there.
Hi, good morning. Andrea Case, CTV News Toronto. Just wondering if you could talk about the importance of bringing your film to Toronto, because obviously a large international audience here for you, as well as your homeland audience here. Also, the film, if I'm not mistaken, opened already in China, is that correct? How did it do there, and what are you hoping outside of China that it will do? Thank you.
So I must say that it's an honor to be here again. So the last time that I came with my film, it was like 10 years ago, was together. So so my dear friend Edge is there, who helped me to do the whole thing 10 years ago, and today he's here as well. So I really appreciate it. Well, the film did open in China already, released in China. I think is, as I said, that it's well received, by the audience. I receive thousands, hundreds of thousands of the messages from audience regarding this film. And most of them, really loved the film, and they said that this is our own story. I could be part of that, And so they also said that the market's growing bigger, it doesn't guarantee that good film can be made. But this one is the one that we're expecting for a long time. And so we're here to show the film to the international audience. Hopefully that, we could find our distribution everywhere in the world. Then share that's the common understanding, with the people from different cultures. This is what I hope. Thank you.
I wonder if you can talk a bit about the process of assembling your cast and the people that you chose in the pivotal roles there. How did they come about? How did they come to the roles?
Well, I think a cast is always very important because that I stay behind a camera, I let them to do what they need to do, I think it's a wonderful cast. I think the performance they have done is brilliant. And this is also the knowing I know from the message that audience sent to me. But I think that I'm not so in favor of work with very big stars. Although that everybody in the film they're all quite big in China. For example, but they're not top. The girl who playing the journalist, her name is Yao Chen. But Yao Chen is so-called the queen of Twitter or something like that. She's having 26 million fans. Something like that. So she herself become a sort of news agency. Whatever she says that so got a lot of messages from people.
Now, did you actively pursue her for that role because of the theme of the movie?
Yes, because I talked to her. I said that you are more like a journalist than an actress. This is your life, and she's very serious about what she was going to do. So we did have a lot of talks regarding how to act and so on. So she's very believable. It's convincing that in the film. I must say that I also, but the most difficult part is for my wife, who is playing the Mr. Shen's wife there, because she's in the film is a very wealthy lady, but we are not that wealthy. We don't know how to portray it. So she just say, hey, what I'm gonna do? I said, well, talk to people. Because we got a lot of friends are sort of rich, talk to them, find out how they live and so on. So she is very happy at the end because she did well. I must say that. I think the most important thing is that in the film, you could see the sense of humor there.
Right.
Sometimes, sort of being ironic, like Mr. Wang, the boss, Mr. Shen, yes. So it's fun, I understand one thing, from making this film that, if you're happy, the result could be better.
Now, did you go through a traditional auditioning process for the other supporting roles? I'm thinking, too, of Mark Chow, who's a Taiwanese Canadian. How did you discover him?
I have seen the film that he did before. It's like a sort of action film, he was very tough in the film. But what attracted my attention from him is his eyes. I don't know why, maybe because that, he grew up here in Canada with one reason or the other that, so his eyes is very clean. So I think that's him, very innocent boy, could have fallen in love with that beautiful young girl at the end. So yeah, so he did very well, and he asked me that how I'm gonna do this. I said, well, you better to watch Region Bow, and you could play a beautiful young Robert De Niro if you want.
We have a question down front here.
Yes, I'm Wei Wei Chen from Fragile TV Toronto. I have a question for the story because I've seen the movie already, and I'm pretty interested in the ending. It's a tragedy to me for some roles you made, like the journalist. She lost her job at the end, and someone died. Someone's love died, but it's also a new start for your wife, which. As you said, she played a wealthy woman role in the movie. So I'm just wondering what's your thinking of the roles you made?
Three women are all very strong. I guess that I mean, you know, the girl got a cancer that she just being attacked by the public, and she doesn't want to explain what's going on. You know, she really believed that it's just a personal thing. You know, if you explain more, probably got a more attack on you. So I admire her very much because within only 7 days' time that she understands and gained something called love and freedom. So probably only for those 7 days that she enjoyed the real freedom, you know. Free breathing, that kind of thing. And for my wife's part, I think it's great. I mean, you know, you can't always endure things like that. You know, I mean, your husband see you like air, nothing. You know, and at the end of the day, that she said, "Hey, I take what belonged to me." You know. That's great. I mean, because without money, obviously, she cannot survive. You know, it's a fair. And for the journalist, you know, part, I think she deserve a lot of sympathy, and she's just doing, you know, whatever she needs to do, and she really believe in finding the truth. But unfortunately, that, you know, from the different perspectives, you know, to what you can find is only part of the truth, not the whole thing. So I'm saying that she's strong because at the end of the day, she could say, no matter what happened, you know, I want to face it. I want to start again. So that's why I think, you know, this is the film from certain perspective. You could say it's about women. Yeah.
Well, everyone loses a lot in this film, and they start over. And also, you know, one of the themes you pursue is the sense of social responsibility. Do you see that generally is in decay now everywhere, in terms of the media and also in terms of social webcasting and the internet?
Well, I think yes. This is a sort of a universal story, you know, not necessarily just about China. But I think that, you know, to respect the single life is the real progress that the China has made in the last 3 decades.
It's lost.
Yeah. So I just feel like when we being proud of the achievement that we got in the last 30 years, that we have to think about what we have lost. You know, this is a very important. So that's why, you know, I'm saying that I'm playing a role as observer. You know, sometimes, you know, asking very tough questions regarding what's going on there. And also that I think if we're doing wrong things, on website, it's like that, building a new platform for another kind of cultural revolution. And you see the struggle session, and this guy become a target. And you should think about that, how he can survive, something like that. So I mean, yeah, it's you can see this kind of story everywhere, I guess.
Right. We have a question down front here.
Joe from Epoch Times newspaper, and I have two questions for Director Chen. The first one is about the film talks about media not being not making completely true stories, because the reporter covered up that actually this Ye女士 actually apologized, but she didn't put it. She didn't broadcast it. So and try to create a news that in the way that she wanted. So could you talk about this media responsibility nowadays? And the second question is, this film has already screened in China, but most other Chinese films in active this year have not, and they are making world premieres or North American premieres. So I know, why do you want to show it in China first and then come to Toronto? And thank you.
Okay.
Answer in Chinese.
对你第一个问题，我想，我这个电影其实不是在谈论关于媒体的问题。说到底，媒体人首先他还是人，是谈到在我们这个变动极大的社会中间，每个人对社会的单独的责任问题，而不是去整体评价说媒体在这个过程中间担负了什么样的任务。就是我最感兴趣的不是事情，还是对人的兴趣。至于为什么在国内放了，然后再到多伦多来，是碰巧了，没有刻意的计划，因为我们现在都很清楚的知道，我们是中国的电影工作者，那么中国自身的市场观众对我们来说是应该更重要过电影节和国际的观众，所以这个片子会首先在国内上映了，我也很高兴，是在中国上映之后，再到多伦多来，谢谢。
Can you talk a bit in English about the media's social responsibility to do the follow-up story? So that's clearly a condemnation in your film. That the cover-up of the apology and the media never really follows up on a story; it just goes for the instant hit. Are you just sending out a warning to all media to clean up their act?
No.
No.
No, I mean, I'm just, I focus on human nature. I think that media now is less powerful than before, because now we have self or citizen media.
Citizen journalism.
Yes. Whatever, if you're a celebrity and you go anywhere, you gotta be careful, because that you could see a lot of cell phones, shooting on you. And
so we better behave.
Absolutely. This is very important. I mean, this is good, because you have to control yourself. You are not allowed to do bad things. Otherwise, that you could see your bad behavior, on the website an hour later.
Right.
Something like that. I mean, I think this is negative and positive. You may feel uncomfortable about that, but this is the reality.
Right. We have another question back here.
Hi, I'm from Chinese Canadian Post, Jefferson, People Daily, 14th edition. Okay, the question is, how long you learned the North American etiquette? Because I already seen the movie, and just this in some part, the guy try to use the utensil. They just like they're killing. They should be hold it down, cut it up first, and put the knife down, then eat instead of hold the whole thing up. So this.
Are you talking about the rhythm of the film?
No.
The cutting,
The
editing?
The eating in the restaurant.
The eating
part-
scenes.
Eating.
Yes, there's one part when I think at the part of the boss, Mr. Chen, and with his assistant eating in the restaurant, and the way he used the utensils is unacceptable in a North American way.
Okay.
So how long you been learning? Should be, if you want to try learn it through the Canadian way and North American way, should be completely.
Okay. I heard what you say, but I don't know how to respond to that.
The eating scenes were very North American in the way they.
Not the North.
Not
Ameri-
North
Not the no North American way. The way they cut it, they should be after they cut the meat and put the knife down, then eat instead of the hold it up. Just like I go for a fighting something. Like
I understand. Yes, I will tell them. So the next time this is correct way of eating, I mean.
So what I'm saying, if you want to try to learn it the North American, got to be completely true North American.
No, I'm not intentionally, want to learn a North American way. No.
Nor are the characters. We have a question right behind you there, but before we get to that, I wonder if you could talk a bit about, one of the things I found interesting was the camera angles that you used, particularly in the chase scenes. You shot them from down low. Talk a bit about your choices in the cinematography of the film and some of the angles you used there.
Well, the what we did every morning, when we were shooting, is that we work with certain lens, try to find an angle from here or there. But the way I want to do this is like, I wanted the camera movement to be vivid, natural, and not just to put the camera there, shoot for 5 minutes without any movement. It's not right for this kind of film. The cinematographer who is Chinese, but he lived in England for over 20 years. So he has some sense of combination of Chinese culture and Western culture, I think that. I think we're framing something, with sense of humor. For example, you could see when the boss is there is always a flower in the foreground, something like that. We didn't know why we want to do it. We didn't really do that with a very clear purpose, but I think it's good. This is the way it should be. So that's why, we did this. And I told him that I didn't really need very special lighting. Just like life, the small apartment should be a little darker than other places. The office of the giant company, you can see, hey, it's really gorgeous. Everything is beautiful. So I think that some people are surprised that, where I shot the film, when I told them that I shot the film in a secondary sort of city called Ningbo. It's not Beijing or Shanghai, So yes, the shape of the city is completely changed, in the last 3 decades. But what's going on inside is another story.
Universal. Okay, we have a question right here.
Hi, this is Leon Tuo with Singtao Daily, the Chinese daily newspaper. We are so happy to see, Director Chen, that you are now focusing on your movies. You are focusing your movies on the contemporary Chinese society, and it's a story happened today. It's not 5 years ago. It's not decades ago. So you are usually mentioned as a great thinker among the Chinese filmmakers. So I would like to know what is your personal observation or understanding about the Chinese society today? And secondly, how do you keep updated of yourself and can keep in a very close connection with today's Chinese society? Can I repeat my question in Mandarin?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
两个问题，陈导演，就是说，第一个就是说，我们在你这部戏里边看到了，不光是比如说你说的这个 social media， 或者说这个 cyberbullying 这些事情，就是说这部电影它本身反映了中国当今社会的一个很大的一个画面。那就是说，你作为一个导演，现在你怎么样观察和看待，就是你怎么样描述现在中国的这个整个的社会的一个图像？还有一个就是说，你怎么样，就是说让你自己，好像你以前拍过很多古装片，或者说其他题材的，就是你怎么样在这种现代题材的电影当中，跟这个社会保持一个很密切的这样一个接触？谢谢。
Should I answer in Chinese or in English?
Give them a bit of both.
Okay, all right. I mean, but he said that I should speak in Chinese.
Sure.
That's fine. 我觉得其实电影就是我们过去老说，中国电影的市场不够发展，但是在过去10年里头，应该说这个市场已经成长到一定规模了，是吧？我们有1万块以上的银幕，商业银幕，已经很快要变成世界上第2大的电影市场。这个3D 的 Titanic，居然能够75%的收入是从中国来的。是吧？是有点奇怪的现象，但是说明它市场已经足够大了。但是我们自己的关于今天生活的电影非常少，都是关于过去的历史的。其实这个是不太正常的。我看其他的文化里边的电影，比如法国电影，它多数是关于今天生活的。大家感兴趣的也应该是今天的生活。美国电影永远是关于未来的，就包括这个 Spider-Man、Batman 这样的电影，其实都是关于未来的，未来的不太好的预测。中国电影为什么永远是关于过去的？永远是关于你的历史，关于你的过去，关于你的。已经被今天90后年轻人遗忘的伟大文化，就没有人关注今天的生活，我觉得这不对。所以我觉得这就是为什么会拍《搜索》这样一部电影，能够让大家看到一个活着的中国，而不是已经死了的中国。而且也希望大家通过媒体的和电影工作者的共同努力，能够让更多的国际观众看到变化中的中国，是这样的情况。那至于我个人，我觉得很简单，就是我像大家一样，是一个普通老百姓，跟大家一样的生活在那样一个社会里边，跟大家一样对所有的事情感同身受。应该说我们在经济方面已经取得巨大的进展。但同时，我觉得还有其他很多的事情可以做，特别是文化方面的事情可以做。其实我们中国人最骄傲的是我们自己，应该是我们自己的文化才对，还不应该是其他的东西。但是在我们社会中间，确实存在着金钱崇拜的倾向，拜金主义的一切都是以物质利益为前提的。这个东西其实很现实，很真实。但不一定完全值得肯定，所以在电影中间会有一些关于这样的反应。谢谢。
Okay, we have another question back here.
My name is Cindy. I'm from Mingpao Daily News. My question is, I know this film is based on an online novel. When you first approach this novel, or you first read it, what do you think the character is the true victim of the online, the cyberbully, or it's the Miss Ye Lanqiu, or it's the journalist, or even the Mark's character, the innocent boy, who do you think will be the true victim?
Well, I think that the film itself is different from the novel. In the novel, I think that the ending of the novel is more darker than the film, because after this monsieur has committed suicide, that people just turn around to start to attack the journalist, Ruoxi, at the end. So she commits suicide again, as well. I think that I don't want to see two women, to die in one single film, which is not right. And so that's why I changed a little bit. Although that, something just to bring her down, but she decided, to stand up again, to face the difficulty of life. That's the difference between the novel and the film. Thank you.
We have a question here and then down here in front.
你好，陈导，我是来自新华社的记者。我这里有一个问题是想跟您这个请教。那现在您刚刚像您谈到的，您拍这部电影是为了反映这个变化中的中国，让国际观众看到一个新的中国。那事实上，您现在把您的作品带到了北美，但是很多的中国电影实际上还面临一个走出去的问题。那您觉得现在的中国电影对大部分中国电影来说，走出去海外呢，面临的一个主要障碍是什么？那中国电影还需要在这方面做哪一些，做得更多，去让这个国际观众去认同中国电影中传承的这种中国文化？谢谢您。
I think we shouldn't really set up a goal like this. The old Chinese-speaking film should go abroad. As I said, that I think the domestic market is big. And it's important, to satisfy the Chinese audience first. Just like the Hollywood films, made first of all for American audience, not really for international audience. Same there in China. So I don't think there's a need for all Chinese-speaking film to be shown abroad. But I think it's great. I mean, if you could have a film, to go to the certain festivals, and you find a distribution, to show the film to the public, the international audience, which is wonderful. But I think there's a problem, there's still quite big culture gap between East and West. I'm not so sure that the Western audience are that interested in the films that are made in the East, quite honestly. Just like me, not me, but some audience in China, that if you just say, hey, you should go to see the movies made in the States or in Canada or Western European countries, they will say that I'm not interested. I can't relate to those characters and so on. So that shows that the culture difference is quite big. So let's do whatever we can to make sure that a good film can be made. Basically for the domestic market first.
Question down here.
Yes, Lisa Fan from Epoch Times. Director Chen, you are a highly respected director, and I admire your great mind because you have a courage to touch the real issues, problems in the Chinese society. And you made some great movies, even in the past, like what's it, 霸王别姬 and Promise. And even though that's not a reality, but now you have this caught in the web about the current China. And I heard there's the struggle, like you touched. You said it seems Chinese movies are about the history. We all say that. And it seems like this, people say because it's safe, you make a film, and because a lot of money investment in it, then you're allowed to show it. And like I heard your movie Promise, and the ending part and some the beginning part got cut because they afraid to imply some what's going on related with the current China situation. That's why make audience that they don't understand what's the beginning, so the story, the films changed. And now you have this successful caught in the web related to the current situation. So being a successful director, can you share your insight how you balance your film, you know, to fulfill your wish to touch the issue, but also able to survive in the strict examination in China? Thank you.
You're asking, it's a very good question that I don't know how to answer, quite honestly. That
Has it been a difficult transition to balance
I
it?
hope that, you know, we're not anymore waiting to make allegory, you know, or just don't want to say or can't say what we want to say in the film. Like what we did in the past. But now I feel like, you know, we have more flexibility to do the things that we want to do. But as a person, as an individual, there's no way for you to change the whole situation. And then you're there, you do what you can. But I agree with you. I think the Caught in the Web is a very important film for me. Because we're not only talking about social harmony in the film. And we're touch the reality of the society and to try to show what's going on there. And to let people, I mean, particularly the people from outside, to know who we are. You know, that is a very important thing to do, I guess.
And quickly in Chinese?
我是希望啊，就是过去我们在表达上的困难有时候会说我们拍的电影像寓言。我觉得今天的情形应该能够允许我们做更直接的表达。像搜索这样的电影，它是确实触及到我们社会的方方面面，不仅有很正面的东西，同时也有我们看到有需要改进的地方，这都是很正常的。一个社会一定是这样的，所以我觉得这个电影才会有价值，才会有这样多的观众的反馈。如果你的电影，我一直觉得电影应该有价值，电影的金钱价值、应该商业价值都应该通过电影自身的价值去实现，而不是相反。我特别害怕就是电影后来就变成了一个money making machine，就是为了钱，这样就没意思了。我觉得这个工作也就没意思了。
Okay, we're running out of time, but we'll have time for one more question there.
Thank you. I know that Director Chen is one of the most famous and most accomplished directors in China. And we do believe that you are in a much better position to promote Chinese culture, in particular the Chinese movie is better known to the world. So we are just wondering what kind of international elements do you introduce to produce, to make any of the new Chinese movie? Or do you just let the new Chinese movies go naturally so as to be both accepted and liked by 1.3 billion Chinese as well as the people in the world? The first question. Second question is, Right now, there seem to be two types of movies. So one, as you mentioned, is entirely directed at the box office, and the other is mainly made to attend the different international festivals like Cannes, Berlin, and Venice, and etc. So what kind of target are you looking at, and how to balance it? Thank you.
Well, short answer is I don't know. I think that I've been to many film festivals that I got a Palme d'Or at Cannes, and I was the jury member of major festivals, you know, for many times. But I still don't know the answer. You know, I mean, for some people, they prefer just doing film for festivals. And those filmmakers, you know, they have a very strong willing, like, you know, to say whatever they want to say, which is beautiful. It's great. It's brilliant. But just don't care about, you know, the reaction from the audience or market. And for some other directors, you know, just to focus on the market and try to make money there. There's nothing wrong about that, but you know, this is all about personal choice. We don't see the filmmakers as a group. You know, each of them is just individual.
Now, do you consciously make choices in your film to add elements that will appeal internationally?
No.
No.
No. I don't think it's right. You know, I make the film, first of all, because I think his film is important for me first, then for the audience. I don't think that I will never do anything like to try to make people happy, you know, or please people. That's not my personality, you know. So you don't have to, where there is no need, or that's impossible, you know, to put certain elements into your film, you know, in order to let the international audience to be amused. I don't think I can do that.
Okay, Caught in the Web is a TIFF special presentation. It will have its TIFF premiere tomorrow night at 6 o'clock inside the Visa screening room at the Elgin Theater. Director Chen,
Thank you.
Thank you all for
much.
coming.